what we can see for the formula is that we are basically dividing the reduced form by the first stage. So any bias in the reduced form is going to be blown up by the first stage. So that is going to, so we need to keep that in mind, that there is, in a sense, when we are doing IV estimation, no such thing as a small bias, because the small bias get blown up. Not so much so in these instances where the first stages are very large, but there are often cases where we're dealing in small, in relatively small first stages, then any small bias gets blown up by something large. So let's think about potential violation in exclusion restriction, and just think whether some examples are valid or not valid. So we already went through the Ghana example. Here is another example that maybe that is worth thinking about. Suppose that this is flu season, and doctors are randomly selected to receive advice to remind their patients that it is flu season, that they should take a flu shot. Could we use this? So this is something called frequently an encouragement sign, where you are taking a group of doctors, you're dividing them in two, and half of them, you're sending them these letters. Suppose that we are in fact finding, which is actually true, that when doctors receive this letter, they are more likely to remind their patients to get the flu shot. So we do find a first stage on getting this letter on the flu shot. Is it a good instrument for actually taking the flu vaccines? Or is there an issue with the exclusion restriction?
They might remind them also to drink orange juice and like other things.
Exactly. So they might, this is flu season, so they might remind them. They get this letter saying, oh yes, I better do some advocacy with my patient, wash your hands, drink orange juice, etc., etc. So as we might find this patient being healthier, not just because they are more likely to get the flu shot, but because of this range of other behavior. So in that case, doing the IV would actually not be justified. Another example, suppose that you are, say in Boston, there are not enough charter school, and kids who need to apply charter school by charter school, and when the charter schools are oversubscribed, the only way that they are allowed to select kids is by lottery. So would it be a valid instrument to look at your lottery number for looking at the admission to a particular charter school, to look at the effect of? That seems pretty good, yeah. It's like, basically, it's that determines whether or not you get in. This is among a sample of applicants. They all wanted to go to school anyway. So it seems like it seems a good instrument for attending this particular charter school, or for attending charter school in general. If it's for attending charter school in general, we need to be careful to find out what the kids who did not get in, the control group is the kids who didn't get into this one school. They might have gotten to some other charter school, because often kids apply to more than one. But we're still going to have a first stage on attending charter school between winner and loser of the lottery. It seems to be a good instrument. It's very unlikely that there is another direct effect of winning the lottery, except through maybe what Roman talked about motivation, having won the lottery, feeling like God or something like that. Doesn't seem to be highly likely in this context where people are routinely applying to various kind of schools. They also maybe apply to get admitted to various schools in the BPS, in the Boston Public School System, in the same way. So it's probably satisfied. Okay, here's another example. The deworming example that we have already discussed earlier in the class. Suppose that kids are in school and that are randomly selected to receive deworming pills. But on the day that the deworming pills are given, not everyone is there. Some kids are sick, some kids cannot be given the deworming pill for a reason or another. So only about half of the kids that should be dewormed in a school, because they belong to this treatment school, actually get dewormed. Can I use being in a treatment school as an instrument for being dewormed? No, and why not?
Well, if they're contagious, and you might not really get dewormed after like 2 weeks because you get them back, like the worms.
Yes, so it works both ways. So worms are very contagious, and that means that the kids who did not get dewormed will still benefit from the fact that there are less worms around them. And also the kids who did get dewormed will get less benefits than they would have had. But from the point of view of the exclusion restriction, the key violation is that being in a treatment school affects your worm load regardless of whether you were treated or not, because basically the control group kids and the treatment kids are going to even out. And this is not like a theoretical nicety in this case. They are contagious enough that within a particular school, the worm load status of the kids are going to be reasonably similar, regardless of whether they have been actually dewormed or not. So if we use that, so the deworming treatment is going to have an effect on the kids in the treated school, irrespective of their actual treatment status. So if we divided by a half, which would be multiplying by 2, we would wrongly assume that we would wrongly attribute the effect that is really coming from all kids to just half of the treatment kids, so we would overestimate the treatment effect by a factor of 2.